WTV.Square.
Content, information, and opinions expressed during the related show are those of the show personalities and guest alone, and not those of Vic Canellis Media Group, its parent, affiliates, or stations. VCMG Live is not responsible for any content, information, or opinions expressed. User bears full responsibility for their reliance on such content, information, or opinions.
Welcome to Meet the Experts with Mike Vilardi. Join us each week as we bring you expert opinions on different subjects ranging from medical to political and community to economy. We answer all of your questions live. Have a question? Call into the show at 888-994-4995, Studio A. And now to Mike.
Welcome to tonight's show. We have a great show for you today. I have a special guest, Tom Mundy, who is not only a mover in the moving business, but he's only in the moving business with veterans and for veterans. Tom, welcome to tonight's show. Tell us about yourself and your business.
Thank you, Mike. Thanks for inviting me.
You're welcome.
Our business, first let me start to say that I used to be in the business many years ago. We had a very clean operation. It seems that we need to put that into order down here in South Florida. And our business is set to hire veterans. We train them, and disabled are going to be going in the office to do clerical. We do local long distance, Mike. Is there anything else?
Yeah, you got some pictures here, some of your veterans that you have. You want to show the audience?
I sure would. Okay.
Okay.
So the gentleman sitting next to me, I'll put this up. Why don't you come over for a second, Clark? Okay. If you can get in, can you get in here? Sit for a second. Can you do that, Mike?
I'm
mic'd up. I'm mic'd up. I'm mic'd up. Never mind. I'm mic'd up.
Yeah,
Forget about it.
yeah.
Okay. So,
Right.
go ahead, Clark.
Right.
Put it in. So Clark is in the Afghanistan war. He's now working for our company. He's in training. He's been doing wonderful. And this is the type of equipment that we use in our company. All new trucks. And
So you have a heart for veterans.
yes.
You only hire veterans, is that correct?
Yes.
You mentioned before the show you do a lot of veteran moves,
Yes.
correct?
We do.
All right, so tell us about why you started the business, why you have such a love for veterans, and where they can get in touch with you. How could they hire you if they want to support a company
Okay.
that's supporting veterans?
Okay. Well, let's start with the reason I put this together, and the reason I have a love for veterans is because in the community I live in, Stewart, it seems like there's quite a few up there that are homeless, that are in a bad way. They live in bad living conditions, and I thought maybe I could help. I wanted to give back, and at this time we are just working with 2 trucks for now. We're going to be going into quite a few more as time goes on. Mm-hmm. What other question did you have, Mike?
Well, okay, so tell us about some of the veterans you've hired. Tell us about, some of your experience and why you're so passionate about veterans.
Well, because they're heroes. I felt the need to give back. I felt that they're not being treated properly by our government. And I thought maybe we could start trying to put these veterans 3 at a time when they work in these trucks. By these veterans working together every day in the same truck, becoming a team, we're hoping that as time goes on and the business grows, that they're not going to be thinking about suicide anymore, which some of them do. And unfortunately, the gentleman, Clark, that's working with me now, one of his drivers actually took his own life, leaving a wife and children at home. So the goal is to try to get them purposeful, get them in these trucks so that they have a reason. And if they ever have a weak moment, hopefully they're going to think twice about that, because if they do, the next day that truck's going to have to go out with 2 gentlemen working as opposed to 3, which it needs. And then, of course, they're going to let the company down. They're going to let down the customers that day. And I just thought I would try to give back, because I didn't serve in the military. And I thought this would be my chance to try to do something and make it right.
And what's the name of your company?
Sergeant Moving and Storage.
And what's the phone number?
772-300-5432.
And is there a website?
There is. And I'll set up the website for you, Mike. afterwards. I don't have it with me at the moment. I'll get
Okay.
it for you. Okay.
Okay. And you know, we just appreciate, we think you're doing a great service, helping our veterans. And what areas do you service? How could people hire you? Where could they hire you?
Well, we do local and long distance moves.
Okay, so what's local?
Oh, well, local could be down here in South Florida, as far up as Pensacola. We
Okay.
consider that a local move because we charge by the hour for these moves.
Okay.
Okay. Interstate, we charge by the cubic feet. This way, what we can do is if the customers give us a list, and that inventory on the day of the move coincides with the list that we had gotten from these customers. At that point, the quote that we gave these people is now in order, and it never changes.
Okay.
We want to create a new standard in the industry so that when people book with us, they know that this is the price they're going to pay that day.
Right.
We're not going to get the stuff in the truck, jack up the price, and then try to,
Rob them at the end. Yeah,
that's
right.
for lack of better words, yes,
Yeah.
to steal from them at the end.
Right.
Okay.
And I could attest to your honesty
Yep.
and your integrity,
Yes.
you know, because you moved me
Yes.
once and you're going to move me twice.
Yes.
Why don't you have us, we have a guest here who
Yeah.
you brought with you.
Yeah.
Let's go to him for a second. Tell us about yourself and your experience serving the country.
My name's Jason Clark. I've been to Afghanistan and Iraq. I was infantry in the Army. I spent most of my younger years patrolling and just doing stuff for the Army. And when I got out, I recently moved here to Stewart, and I've been working with this company ever since. He's been doing the right thing so far.
So how long have you been with Tom?
I've worked with Tom for a few months here now. I'm not sure how long it's been. Probably like 2-3 months now.
Yep.
And that's about how long the business has been running ever since it started. So it's just getting off the ground, just starting now.
Well, that's why you're a new business, and that's why we want to try and get you some publicity here on the TV show.
Yeah.
I know if people want to call in, the call-in number is 888-994-4995, and you can talk to Tom. And if you have any questions about moving or what he can do for you, or if you're a veteran and you need a job and you know you need some support, Tom has been most gracious in that way. You know, this is a man who. Can I tell him a little bit about you?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Sure.
Tom was a lottery winner, not once but twice. And what he did with the lottery money was he took care of special needs kids on Long Island, a place called Little Flower. And he'd go and he'd buy them gifts and treat those little orphans like they were the most precious things in the world. That's why I wanted to take the opportunity to have him on tonight, because he has a heart the size of the great outdoors. And usually when people win the lottery, they usually spend all the money on themselves, but not Tom. Tom took that money and spent it on orphans, people who didn't have anything. And he ended up spending all that money on people who had a greater need than he did. And when he told me he was going to start this business months ago, I wanted to make sure that I was going to be one of the first people to hire him, because he is truly a giver, truly a guy that serves other people. And I respect him for that. And I think it's important that other people know what he's out there doing to help the people who have served our nation in combat zones, who've taken enemy fire, who you know might not have any hope, and he gives them hope in the future by giving them a job. So Tom, I can't tell you how much we appreciate you and what you've done. And please tell us if you want to share some stories. Share those stories with us. This is the forum for it. You know what I mean?
Sure. Well, by starting this company, it seems that some of the nonprofits had got wind of what we're doing.
Okay.
And somehow they come to me now when veterans are stuck somewhere and they can't get a ride to the VA. They're homeless.
Okay.
So somehow I take it upon myself now to drive them to the VA,
Okay.
pick them up from the VA. We don't do it for charge, we do it for free.
Okay.
Some of the veterans that are in destitute, we move them for free.
Okay.
Okay. I'm trying to think what else. I'm at a loss right now, but that's pretty much the gist of it, Mike. It's about trying to give back to all these veterans. The goal of this business is to create a national van line down the road. Mm-hmm. By having a national van line and having agencies that work for us and with us, at that point now these veterans could be delivering something from South Florida, it could be anywhere, it could be Tennessee somewhere. And they'll pull into a yard with their other veterans that have an agency for sergeant. Okay. And now they have that camaraderie. And they work together, and we help those agencies now because they're going to hold the storage per se if it's needed. They'll be the ones who do the local move when it comes out of storage. And this way it washes, both of them wash each other.
Well, maybe we take this show, put it on a DVD or something, and give it to some of these nonprofits so that they could hire you. They could use your company if they're gonna if they have to move people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, we want to get you some
Yeah.
publicity. We want people to know who you are and what you've done, because not only are you helping veterans, but you're a fair and honest person, and your prices are very reasonable. Mm-hmm. I mean, you're not out there robbing people like a lot. You hear horror stories
Yes.
in the moving industry.
Yes.
I mean, I've heard about people, they load up the truck and then the price goes up $2,000, and if you don't pay, they drive off with your stuff.
Yeah, that's prevalent down here in South Florida.
I mean,
Quite a few bad actors are doing that now.
yeah, I mean that's a tragedy, and you're on the other side of the spectrum, where you do what you say you're going to do. You're fair and honest about your price.
Yep.
And you're employing people who have served our country and who need a hand up, you know what I mean?
Right.
And so we just want to acknowledge you for that, and tell us about some of the other veterans you've hired on the company and what they're doing. And
We've had a couple other. One of them happens to be Clark's roommate.
Okay.
Okay.
He was my roommate in Iraq.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he was a roommate in Iraq. So because they have that camaraderie.
Right. Exactly.
So we work. They work. They both of them work. There's a couple others that are aren't here in the show.
He's actually blown up in Iraq in 2011.
Yep.
What happened? Did he step on a landmine?
No, they set IEDs out. It was two. They set IEDs out, and they ran over the IEDs. What you have in front of your vehicle is you have this thing called a jackal and a mine roller in front of your vehicle. Most of the time, the mine roller will run over or around it, and the jackal sends like a vibration out that'll blow it up a little bit. So that takes most of the explosion, but not
Right.
all of it. It still still affects you in some ways. You get knocked out. The vehicle rolls around most of the time. He's worked for this company.
Yep.
He's hired
several times.
other veterans.
Yep.
He's doing good now. He every time he needs some extra work, he calls him up and
We put him to work. How many times have you been blown up?
I was in Afghanistan twice, in Iraq once. I was blew up by two rail system RPGs in Afghanistan, and then the incident where he was blew up, I was his QRF, which is a quick reaction force, and that's where he got blew up, and I rolled up and I saved him. We roll up in our vehicles where they're getting shot at, so we come up and we he was knocked out, so we carried him out on a litter and carried him to the vehicle, and then we just rode back to the FOB, which was at JBB, at Joint Base Biladen. It was in Iraq, because we was the final people in Iraq. We shut down all the FOBs in Iraq, all the way from northern Iraq to southern Iraq. The last mission in Iraq was actually like all the way from the top of Iraq to the bottom. They made it like a symbolic mission, like we was leaving Iraq to Kuwait. All the vehicles, everybody that was armed forces that was in Iraq at that time was in one convoy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, let me ask you a question, just to digress here a little bit, but I remember they were supposed to strengthen those vehicles to take these.
Oh yeah, they're you can see on that picture.
Okay, let's
that's
go
an
to that
MRAP
picture.
actually.
Hold that picture up, Tom.
You see a lot of the there's different. It's not that good of a picture, but it's just sitting over a cell phone. But it doesn't have the mine roller on it. The mine roller usually attaches right there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And then the jackal looks like a mailbox actually, and
I know the steel, the armor underneath was strengthened, right, so
Yeah.
that it will
Yeah, it's
absorb.
made in the shape of a V.
Right.
So whenever it explodes, the explosion goes out.
It gets
instead of-
dissipated, right? It gets dissipated so that we lose
Yeah.
less people because of
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Right.
He was also involved, just to give you a heads up, he was also,
Okay. When we come back, we'll hear some stories. We're going to this commercial break. We'll be back in a minute. Thank you.
Good.
Tax alert! I was receiving letter after letter from the IRS.
I got Mike Vilardi on the phone and I said, Mike, I got a problem.
He took the pressure off my shoulders.
He just made me feel like I had Superman on my side.
Trust me, he's the man to go to.
IRS problems? I'm Mike Vilardi, enrolled agent. I can help. My company, Winning Tax Solutions, has always gotten our clients the best possible results. Visit us at winningtaxsolutions.com or call us today.
This message was brought to you by Warburg Equities and the Cricken Law Trust.
Hi, I'm Adam, an associate with the Cricken Law Trust. We're here to help you process money owed to you through the CARES Act. If your business employed 10 or more people and maintained payroll taxes through the 2021 shutdown, the Cricken Law Trust can help you get your money back. This money is yours, but if you don't apply now, you might lose this opportunity and it'll be gone forever. Contact us now. Go to www.my123erc.com. Now that's www.my123erc.com.
You've been watching Meet the Experts with Mike Vilardi. If you have any questions, call in at 888-994-4995, Studio A. And now, back to the show.
Welcome back to tonight's show. We're going to go with Clark. We're going to hear some stories from Afghanistan and Iraq. Take it away.
what do you know about the withdrawal with the vehicles?
In Iraq, they really just left the vehicles over there.
Now, whose order was that? I mean, who just leaves the vehicles over there?
I even offered one time to pay to ship it back myself to get 2 of them, and they refused. They wouldn't even give me a vehicle. They let people come on, like they'd show their ID, they'd come on the fob, and they just let them through, and they just drive off in a truck. This was in 2011, so this is like.
Well, how much equipment did we give away?
Well, it wasn't like any sensitive item equipment like the MRAPs or nothing like that.
Right.
It's most like if they have a fob, it's like a big city. There's miles and miles and miles. Some of them it can be just a few buildings and stuff. But JBB is the biggest fob in Iraq. It was Joint Base Balad, and it's one of the largest fobs in Iraq. You take a bus to get around. They got chow halls and they got pool tables and stuff like that. Volleyball courts and basketball courts all over for recreational when you're not on mission and stuff. And plus there's people that don't ever leave. Their job is like intel or something like that. You know, they don't ever leave, and cooks and stuff like that.
So what was the purpose of us being there when you were there? What was the...
In
what was the
Afghanistan, in Afghanistan, we were training the Afghan army and the Afghan police. We would we'd walk around like condos, and we'd go from like building to building and just ask them certain questions, like how's everybody in the city and stuff like that. What's happened? We'd buy from their little shacks that they had. They'd had fruits, or they like cake instead of candy. Like everybody gets candy bars here. They like little cakes and stuff, and just talk with them.
So I mean, the mission was to get to know them locally. And
at that time.
Okay.
And because the first time it was to build fobs, so it was to get areas and clear areas so that you can.
So the purpose of you guys training the Afghan military was to stop the terrorism?
Yeah, was so that they could stop it.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, and so whenever we would go into the police station, actually, one time we was going to the police station, and there was like it looked weird on the tree, and at first I was like, because I was young, I was like 18, 19 whenever I was there, and there's something weird on the tree, and I went over there, and I think it was my lieutenant at the time. His Lieutenant Roach, actually, and I went and told him it looked something funny, and he sent the little cops over there, and it was an old Russian grenade tied to a fishing line. So whenever you walk past the old Russian grenade in the fishing line, and because you barely see it, because I didn't even want to say it at first, but in that split second I was like, nah, it looks weird. And I went over there and I said it, and they went and cut it, and they got the grenade, and they just acted like it was no big deal too. So we still went in there and ate the food that day too.
So it had to be What happened when Biden withdrew from Afghanistan? Do you know anything about that?
I wasn't in the army at that time, but if it's anything like Iraq, they just left everything. Like their cities, they left like real cities like that we built. They got a certain group in the Navy is called the Seabees.
Yeah.
And they have like up armored bulldozers and stuff like that, and they'll build your whole city in like 5 hours, you know.
Really?
For their and but it's not. Most of it's tents, so it's not. But it's got HESCO barriers and stuff, like because we stayed in tents in Afghanistan and Iraq. We had two man huts.
Wow. So what was your overall take of being in Iraq and Afghanistan?
I had a lot of fun times. I had really good times. I met a lot of nice, loyal people that I can count on for the rest of my life. I still talk to my best friend. He was my roommate in Iraq, and I didn't know him before that day. Before we didn't even know each other, and we got roomed together. Because I was new, I volunteered everywhere, and they have a website where you can go and you can look what on your MOS, and I was infantry, so everybody needed somebody to hold a gun. So, and you can volunteer to go to each place. Like if Afghanistan's got a war, you can volunteer. And Iraq, that's how I ended up all over the place. Every time I'd get back home, I'd just volunteer to go somewhere else. I was young.
So it was a positive experience for you?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it was real positive. Like I said, I met people that I call my brother for the rest of my life. I can call on them today, and they'll drop what they're doing and come and help me out.
That's right.
He helped them out.
That's right. That's right.
Well, Tom, we got 2 minutes left. Tell us again, give all the information about your company, what you do, how they can contact you, what number they need to call so people can hire you for a move.
I sure will, Mike. I sure
Okay.
will. So, just one more time so people can come to realize, like I said, this is how it looks. This is, okay. For the trucks that we use, okay, our number is 772-300-5432. You can call us anytime. We do local and long distance moving with storage. Nothing too small. And That day you will be treated properly, and you'll have the right guys that have defended this country, and they'll be there on that day. I trained them all.
Well, I just want to say that, Tom, you are an honest, upstanding person with a tremendous heart. There's few people I know that would take the millions they won in the lottery and give most of it to orphans and homeless people like you did. And now you're starting a new, this is basically a new business.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, new business.
With veterans only, to help our service people who serve this country.
That's right.
And I think that's a tremendous thing. And I could attest to you doing an excellent job. Like I said, you move me, and you show up on time. You do a great job. Your prices are fair. And most important, you're helping people who help this country, who serve this country.
That's right.
And need a job. So I just think it's tremendous what you've done and what you're doing. And that's why we want to, give you the opportunity, give our audience the opportunity to hire you. So Tom, thank you so much for being on Meet the Experts, and we appreciate your service.
Thank you for having us.
Clark, thank you for your service. We appreciate what you've done serving this country as you had. And till next time, I'm Mike Vilardi. Have a great night.
Thank you for tuning in to Meet the Experts with Mike Vilardi. For more information, contact Mike at 888-994-4995, Studio A. Join us next time for another exciting show.
The opinions expressed on the